Welcome, everyone, to a new episode of the Quarter Disorder Podcast. This is episode 11 of the show, and this episode is being recorded on Saturday night, March 1st, 2025. I'm your host, Tim Bowman, and joining me is my co-host, Lewis. And how's it
Pretty
going,
good
Lewis?
so far. How are you?
Still kind of in shock about what we saw earlier tonight. For those that don't know, there was a WWE wrestling pay-per-view, and John Cena went heel, bad guy, for the first time in his career. So just kind of
Actually,
dealing with
the first time in
that.
22 years. In 22 years, yes.
22 years, yeah. So it's been a long time. So if you don't know John Cena, he's been in a bunch of movies and TV shows,
probably
and all
the
that
next
stuff. So it's kind of interesting for his wrestling.
after Stone Cold and The Rock, right? Like in Hogan terms, because everybody knows who Hulk Hogan was back in the 90s. So, oh, that's the guy from wrestling. He'd be the equivalent to that.
Yeah, pretty much. I think he's like one of the mainstream faces you would see. He does. What is it? What is he in? Peacemaker and
Peacemaker.
ton of just random movies. Like he's like all over the place. But yeah, he came back to wrestling a couple of months ago, and so nobody saw it. So we're all kind of in shock. But anyway, this episode of the podcast is gonna be a little different format. We're gonna be talking about a movie that we both saw in theaters that just recently came out, and that movie is Captain America: Brave New World. So we're going to be doing a review of that movie and kind of giving our thoughts on it. But before we get into the episode, I just want to remind everyone how they can listen and support the show. The podcast is available on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube, and all other of your favorite podcast platforms. You can also check out quarterdisorderpodcast.com for all the show notes and pages dedicated to each episode. And you can follow the podcast on all the social media platforms. We're basically on everything. And those links can be found on the podcast hub section of the website at quarterdisorderpodcast.com. And if you have any questions or comments or want to reach us or have any feedback on the show, you can email us at feedback@quarterdisorderpodcast.com or leave a comment on the show notes article on the website for this episode. So let's get into the episode here. And we just have a couple pretty big gaming news topics that happened in the past week. And the first one was really kind of a huge deal. During the week, Warner Brothers Games, I guess they're just overall company Warner Brothers, they closed, shut down 3 of their video game studios, one of them being Monolith Productions, the other being two other kind of more minor studios. Looking up the names here. But yeah, they shut them down and completely closed down. And the other 2 studios are Player First Games and WB Games San Diego. Player First Games, they just did the multiverses, kind of like online multiplayer Super Smash Brothers type thing, I think it was, with all the DC characters and animation people and stuff like that. And then WB Games San Diego was like a, I don't know if they were like a support studio or a new studio working on a game, but the big studio was obviously Monolith Productions, who have been around for I think 31 years at this point. Developed a ton of games that most of you listening are probably familiar with, going back to even the early 90s. So they started off doing like a lot of PC games, like first-person shooters and stuff like that. The first game was called Blood in 1997, which is kind of like a cult classic game. And then they did a James Bond game, The Operative, No One Lives Forever, in 2000 for PC, and I think that came to PS2 as well. And then they did another one a couple years later, and then moved on to kind of one of their bigger games in 2005, Fear. And then also Condemned Criminal Origins, which was a Xbox 360 exclusive. I don't think that ever came to anything other platforms.
I don't think so.
I think that's stuck on.
Fortunately,
yeah, that I know it was on PC, but it never came to like any other console. But yeah, they did the Fear franchise. There was a couple games in that, and then their last really big game was Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor, which was based on the Lord of the Rings franchise. But that was like an original game they did with the license. That came out in 2014 though.
Oh my God, 11 years.
And in the past, they did a sequel to that in 2017. Yeah, and the last game they were really doing was in production was a game for Wonder Woman, which obviously WB owns the rights to that under the DC Comics and DC Films and all that. Well, that game has also been canceled at the same time, so that was the other big announcement. So a really big loss in the game industry. Just another example of just these studios are just getting absolutely slaughtered and cut, and tons of people losing their job and years of experience. And kind of the reasoning they gave, I don't know, it seemed very like, why would you close a studio like that down? That was like so
Yeah.
much experience. But a statement was provided to Polygon.com, and I could just read some of that here. Basically, they were saying, quote, "We had to make some very difficult decisions to structure our development studios and investments around building the best games possible with our key franchises, Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, DC, and Game of Thrones," which is a weird key franchise to point out. So this is a strategic change in direction and not a reflection of these teams or the talent that consists within them. The development of Monolith's Wonder Woman video game will not move forward. Our hope was to give players and fans the highest quality experience possible for the iconic character, and unfortunately this is no longer possible within our strategic priorities. This is another tough decision, and we recognize Monolith's storied history of delivering epic fan experiences through amazing games. We greatly admire the passion of the three teams and thank every employee for their contributions. They kind of had some other comments at the end of that, but that was the gist of it. There was another comment that they had made basically saying like they needed to get their, I forgot what the term was, like swagger back or something. Somebody said, I would have to look up the quote, but doesn't really tell you much about what was going into that. But originally this was reported by Jason Schreier at Bloomberg, who's also done some great reporting on some of the issues with Warner Brothers games, whether it be their Suicide Squad game by Rocksteady and some of the other developmental issues at the company. And he actually reported last month about the Wonder Woman game that was having a lot of issues. They had changed a lot of the top key people working on the game and retooling some of the development ideas on that. So that game did sound like it was a long time away, which was surprising to me. According to that Bloomberg report, quote, this is an article on Kotaku.com, the Bloomberg report lays some of the blame at the feet of outgoing executive David Haddad. Some current and former staff told the outlet he seemed to have little actual familiarity with gaming, as well as the broader turmoil at Warner Brothers amid a failed acquisition by AT&T and a chaotic merger with Disney under CEO David Zaslav. So that game itself was having a ton of issues, and they just decided to close the studio. So when you're looking at Monolith Productions, their last actual game was in 2017. 7 or 8 years later, they're still working on, I don't know when this Wonder Woman game started, but that's the only thing they're working on. That game gets canceled. They dumped a ton of money into it, and that was all down the drain. So, did you have any thoughts about the news?
I do remember them announcing the game, the Wonder Woman game, many, many years ago. And it's sad to see it turn out this way because I know there's some fans that are big fans of Wonder Woman, obviously. And just to see something like this that you hear, hey, this is going to come out one day and it doesn't, and then this whole team's laid off, it's just sad because we crave these heroes to be in video games because we just want to experience something cool and different other than seeing them in movies or reading them in comics. And Wonder Woman, other than the MK game, like MK versus DC game, I can never remember another time I was able to control Wonder Woman in that video game format.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I would have to think about that. Like maybe some retro game where like it featured the Justice League or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't name another time. And it just kind of sucks. WB Games is having a lot of issues. MK1, man, they're down bad as well. Their whole roadmap has completely turned me off from that franchise when it comes to like DLC and their online whatever the hell they're doing currently. And I played the Suicide Squad game that was free for like 10 minutes. I didn't like it. I said this sucked. I'm glad I didn't pay anything for this. So it's just kind of
And that's Suicide
yes,
Squad Kill the Justice League on
yeah.
PS5 and Xbox
Yeah,
and
it's
Steam and
not good. So
stuff. Yeah.
they have a lot of things going
Hmm.
on, and it's nothing positive. I'm kind of worried about this new Batman game. They're kind of it's weird. They didn't announce it, but it's been leaked out basically that they're working on something. So yeah, when it comes to WB games, not a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, and it's kind of messed up because according to some reports, they had spent at least 100 million
Yeah,
on
yeah,
this
it's a
Wonder
lot.
Woman game, and just to go ahead and cancel it. I don't know what was going on exactly, why they're having so many issues, because the studio that they gave the game to, Monolith Productions, like they have a rich history of just amazing games. So I don't know if it was, like I said, some of these articles coming out kind of blame the upper
Yeah.
management executive level because I think they were also trying to use that Nemesis system, which they created in
Hmm.
Shadow of Mordor, where basically, like, from what I remember, like if you killed an enemy or something, or killed you, it would remember and get stronger and have all these different enemies on the map and stuff. So it was like a very interesting mechanic that, like, I don't think any other game has really used or was able to use because they actually patented it. Um, I think they were trying to use that in Wonder Woman, but use it for like a friendship type of aspect. And I think they said they were having issues figuring that out. But I was really surprised that they not only canceled the game but shut down the studio. And all those people are out of work now. That rich history of the games, um, all these franchises we talked about are just going to be gone, right? Um, like Fear and Condemned. Just they're not going to do anything. And like really, Fear, that's another really cool franchise. It was like a first-person shooter horror game that's pretty much stuck on old consoles, or if you can play it on Steam. But yeah, early on, I remember like the first Fear game was a pretty big deal for like Xbox 360. Condemned Criminal Origins. I don't know if that's games how well that game is aged, but I remember playing it back then in the Xbox 360 era as like a survival horror um type of game, and it was kind of like a graphically violent game too, but it was really good. I'm not really sure now, but like I said, the only way to really play those games is if you have the physical copy and stuff. But even some of their old games, like earlier in the studio's history, were on like PC and other stuff. I know their first game, Blood, was remade by Night Dive Studios, I believe, so you can play that on Steam. It's kind of like a one of those boomer shooter type games, like Doom or something, like a similar type. If you look at it, um, you never heard that term, boomer shooter? That's Yeah, that's what they call these like Doom. Basically, any game that's like Doom, that style of first person shooter. Yeah, it's like a whole genre now, like of people bringing that back. Um, so yeah, I mean, some of these games, if you still want to go back and play them, there is possible, but a lot of them are difficult. But yeah, there's just a ton of talent there. That somebody made a good point. Um, I was reading on like people posting about social media. It's like you just lose all this talent. Like you just can't just hire a bunch of new people because like the culture of the company and all their experiences with different development cycles and the history of the studio, and it's just you can't replace that. It's like an intangible value. Yeah, and again, this is like Warner Brothers, so like this is like a major publisher, like, and they're still closing games. So it's really hard for, you would think making a Wonder Woman game would be like a home run. Like it'd be so like, okay, yeah, like it's a grand slam. Like we're gonna hit it. And absolutely, yeah. Where they just can't do it. Yeah, and the Wonder Woman movies made like a ton of money. Like they were some of the highest grossing movies. And it's not like, I don't think it's like I said, the studio's fault, because the studio that's making the game, like they have this they have credibility. And yeah, so I don't know what happened there, but it really sucks. The studio's gone, and I guess they're just shifting to core franchises and IPs, like, Harry Potter, like I said, Mortal Kombat, DC stuff, and then Game of Thrones. Is Game of Thrones even still like popular? I don't know. Is that a thing? Because that show's been off. Yeah, I just thought it was just kind of weird how they consider Game of Thrones like one of their big gaming properties, considering like on the game side of things, like they really haven't been that great, I don't think. So, and then DC, like they just canceled their Wonder Woman game, and the Batman game's like probably a few years off, and then the Suicide Squad game was terrible. So, um, but yeah, I guess that's the kind of outlook for WB Games. And do you have any other thoughts about Monolith or any other games, or do you have any interest in kind of checking them out now that all this news has come out?
There's too many games to go back, I'd say, for me.
Too many
Yeah,
games,
too many
yeah.
games. So, I mean, maybe someday I'll pick up, one of those Shadow of Mordor games or whatever. But as of now, I mean, it just sucks that Wonder Woman won't have a game, at all. And it's gonna probably be like 2 decades before they attempt to even try it again. So it kind of sucks. We'll probably be in our late 60s to play the game.
Yeah, or even just have like the studio capable of even doing it.
Yeah,
Like, who do they have now that can do that? So,
yeah.
um, but yeah, I guess if you just like Mortal Kombat and Harry Potter, they got the
that's
games for you.
that's it.
So, all right. Well, best wishes to everybody at Monolith Productions and the other two studios. Hopefully, everybody is somehow able to land on their feet, or maybe start a new venture. And there's a lot of talent there, so it'd be really cool. At least maybe some of those people get together and form a new studio and do something in the future. But best of luck to all of them. And another just gaming news topic here. If you are a PC gamer on Steam, Steam Next Fest is currently ongoing throughout this week and through March 3rd, where basically Steam Next Fest is an event that they host a couple times a year, where a bunch of free game demos are available to download for independent developers, independent studios, and their independent game projects. Stuff coming out soon, stuff coming out later on, stuff that's still going to be announced for a release date. So there's like a really ton of cool games that are on to download of every single genre. Like there's hundreds of games. So if you're on the PC side and on Steam, a lot of them do work on Steam Deck as well, if you're playing on that. And I'll include a link in the show notes to kind of just a big list of games that I put together that are pretty cool. But I'll just highlight a couple that I thought were really interesting. Were Twisted Tower, which is a kind of like a Bioshock inspired game where you are sent to a kind of island where this tower is kind of sound like a game show, but it's like a carnival thing where you get to the top of the tower, you win a prize, and you're trying to win your ex-girlfriend back or save her. So it's totally like Bioshock inspired. So if you like Bioshock, check that out. And the other game is Ruffy and the Riverside, which is a kind of like old school 90s style platformer, like Nintendo 64 era, where it has this really unique game mechanic where you can like swap textures on the game world. So for example, you can copy like water, like a flowing river, and then copy some like or change that into like lava, and I'll just do all sorts of cool stuff like that. It's really great hand drawn animation, really fun platformer. That's a free demo you can play. and just a whole bunch of other stuff like action adventure games, first person shooters, rhythm games, casual games. So I post that into the show notes at quarterdisorder.com, and you can check those out. Lewis, I know you're a big PC gamer. I know you're going to play all these that are on the list. So
I can play this on
got
my
them all
phone.
fired up,
Is that what
right?
you're saying?
So,
Because
yeah,
my
on the
computer is my
Steam app
phone.
on your phone, maybe.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Like, I'm not
Yeah,
really a PC gamer like that. I just have like a Switch and a PS5, and my PS3 is hooked up. Tim should be proud of that. I mean, he's a big retro guy, so he should give me points for that. But my computer is actually my phone. So
right. Yeah, I'll give you little points for the PS3.
yeah.
That's pretty like ancient at this point.
Yes.
But yeah, anybody interested? Steam Next Fest going on for a couple more days, and the demos will usually stay up after, so that they don't like usually remove everything. So there's a game that you see you're interested in. You can probably still check out the demo in the future beyond this week, but this is kind of the main week where they highlight a bunch of stuff that's on like the Steam homepage and everything like that. So moving on to some, I guess, TV news, Lewis. Some Dragon Ball news. You have some exciting stuff for us. What's going on in the world of Dragon Ball
So
and Dragon Ball
so on
Z?
February
Is it
4th,
Z still? Or?
what's that?
I said, is it still Dragon Ball Z or no? They've
No,
moved on from that, right?
no. This is Dragon Ball Daima. So this one doesn't have a manga book. Um, this is only anime, and this is from the original creator who passed away a year ago on March 1st. So this was announced when he was still alive, and I remember he got a lot of flack because it's kind of like, why are these kids and all that? Like, why are they kids? Like, why did they get turned into kids? So he got a lot of flack whenever this was first announced. So whenever he passed away, he wasn't around whenever this premiered back in November, and I'm sorry, in October. And well, everybody's loved the anime for its writing and all that. And it sucks that he wasn't around that, to see all this love he got, after the final product, was be able to be watched. So on February 14th of this year, a new form took place on the anime, and it was a last gift before, you know, his ultimate passing to the fans of Dragon Ball. So there is an anime called Dragon Ball GT that he did not work on except for one thing from that one anime. So Dragon Ball GT came out in 96. It only had like about 65 episodes, and then in 97. And that was actually I guess people would kind of say back in the day, the last canon continuation of Dragon Ball, but it's not canon. But because Akira Toriyama didn't work on it, he only contributed to one form, which was the Super Saiyan form of Goku. Tim, I know you're not really into Dragon Ball, so there's these forms of transformations in Dragon Ball. For example, you've seen Goku with dark hair, that's his base form. You've seen him with the golden hair, that's the Super Saiyan form, right? Have you seen that or no?
Yeah, I'm familiar with a little bit with
Okay,
that. Yeah.
so for Super Saiyan 4, that was the only thing he contributed to that Dragon Ball GT anime. So after many, many years, Goku turned into Super Saiyan 4 on February 14th, and it crashed the internet. Crunchyroll servers went down. Even pirated sites, according to Sportskeeda on this anime category, they said that Crunchyroll immediately went down. Popular websites that pirate the show as well were inaccessible. That's how big of an impact this form took. Everybody ran onto their phones, their PlayStations, their laptops, whatever you can see Dragon Ball on, and they couldn't see the episode because due to traffic. So it's kind of crazy how before he passed away, gave us a small gift, which was the Super Saiyan 4 form. And the only difference between this one and the one from GT, Goku's hair is actually red in this one, and in the original and GT debut of the Super Saiyan form, he had dark hair. But it's just crazy how even life after death, he's still making a big impact. The last time he broke the internet like this was whenever the Ultra Instinct form debuted in Dragon Ball Super, and that also crashed the internet. Another time that he crashed the internet was whenever it was 2016 during the Goku Black arc, whenever Trunks from the future came back to the past, which is the present in Dragon Ball, um, to kind of warn Goku about this guy who took his body, and it was kind of like a mystery. Who is this guy who took Goku's body? They broke the internet with that too. So even after even in that, this man's still making a big impact in anime, and I think that's such a real crazy thing. And another crazy thing is the Daima series ended a year after he passed away. It just finally, the last episode just aired finally. Yeah, I haven't been watching that because I've been busy with life and everything. But like even I was made aware of this, like this form, Super Saiyan 4, like just broke the internet. I thought, wow, that's amazing. This man's big contribution to anime is still like going on, even though he's not here to see all this. Do you have any questions about that, Tim? About the Super Saiyan 4 transformation?
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
I
mean,
was wondering, so like for
same
Crunchyroll, has
things.
that ever happened before?
Not like this, no. Dragon Ball has been the only one that's been able to crash it, apparently. No, nothing can touch. It's because Dragon Ball has a big fan. It's usually the series you kind of first come across to get into anime, you know. But it's just very popular. It's like Tim thinks, guys, like it's kind of like The Simpsons has been going on forever. Like, no, they've had gaps to where, you know, it aired fine. Like its last air date happened in 1997, and for many years we didn't have nothing until there was a movie called Dragon Ball made by Fox Studios. And whenever that released, it got so much flack that the creator said, I do not want my creation to end like this, to where they hate it. I'm going to bring back Dragon Ball Super. That was like around 2014, 2015 and all that. So he brought it back. So imagine from 97 to 2014, that's a long stretch, And he just wanted to continue to show people that, hey, man, like I have stories. I actually have stories I can tell here. And he's proven it. He's kept people interested in the story. So it's not like a weekly continuation thing, or even when the manga, it's not like there've been gaps, Tim. Like the only reason why the anime kind of ended for Super is because whenever the Goku Black arc, it got so big, like they had to start like do a simulcast from Japan and the US on Crunchyroll because it got that big. It was only aired in Japan. The plan was to air it way later in the United States. But you know how things get around, people like how I first came across Super, I had to go to YouTube because I couldn't see it. It wasn't on Crunchyroll, and I had to read it in Spanish. The subtitles. So that's how I first came across Super, because I couldn't access it like so easily. Like on Crunchyroll. Like I think for the United States English dub, they're just barely airing it, which was like 2 months ago now in January. This has been going on since October, so they're still kind of they're messing around with like the dubs and the subtitles, months apart. So it's something, as a Dragon Ball fan, you just expect it, right? But yeah, it's not a big, like One Piece has like over 1,000 episodes. Like I will never watch that, because if I did, that would be like the only thing I would watch. Dragon Ball is not like that. Dragon Ball original anime is not as big as Dragon Ball Z, which has over 150 episodes, I believe, and Super is right up there as well. But it's not this big chunk of series, like kind of like The Simpsons, where it has like 30 year or 38 seasons or whatever. Like, no, it's nothing like that. It's just, I can see how you kind of would look at it and be like, that might be too much for me, but it's really not, And besides, it's not like comics. You know how like comics, this is like universe so and so. Like, no, you just started on, book one. That's all you got to do.
Right. So for this current like series, you think it's like a good starting point for like a new fan? Because I mean, like someone that has like no knowledge of the franchise to like start watching.
I don't think so. I can see how people can first come across it and start watching and kind of like it, but the thing about Dragon Ball, You don't really have to see. Okay, if you want Akira Toriyama's best writing style, it would have to be the OG Dragon Ball when they're kids, when Goku's a child, and then when it gets very serious, it's really Dragon Ball Z until the Cell Saga, because the Buu Saga, he was kind of like, hey, I kind of wanted to say what I wanted to say. I just want to have fun, and I can see how people kind of hated that saga, but people kind of like, oh, okay, I kind of see what's going on here. He's trying to be more comical and all that because during the Cell Saga, people like there's actual consequences, stakes at hand, and people die, right? So when Super came out, you know, you gotta kind of know what's going on from the original Dragon Ball Z. So I'd say Dragon Ball Z would be the best, and people like my around our age, they still say Dragon Ball Z is the best, but that's like from nostalgia purposes, I'd say like they look back as oh man, when I was a kid, I saw this after school and I love this. But I like the progression for certain characters, like character development. Like to me, Vegeta, he's probably like the best developed character like in any media. Like I'm not kidding on that. Like you can tell me Batman this or Peter Parker that. Vegeta is the best developed character of all time, and in this anime, Dragon Ball Daima, he like, and what's funny is this character, he thought about killing him off in the original Dragon Ball Z manga, right? And he just let him live, and like indirectly, he made him like the best written character of all time. To like, if you see a man, lots of issues and all that, doesn't know who he is, um, you see him grow throughout the series, and in Super as well, and even in this, apparently, because I've seen clips here and there, because the things he does is like it's so groundbreaking. I know you know who Goku is, and Goku's a human who kind of learns to accept his alien race, which is he's a Saiyan, and Vegeta's a Saiyan who lands on Earth and has to learn to become human. That's what the character is. But yeah, I'd say Z would be perfect for you to start off with. You don't really have to see Dragon Ball, but if you want to see that man's style, like why is he so regardless? Like man, this guy knows what he's doing. OG Dragon Ball.
So, what are like fans, Dragon Ball fans, saying about this? Recent show that you were talking about. Like, what's the consensus? Like you mentioned, it broke the internet, but like, what are like the fans saying about it? Is it like super awesome? Do they hate it? Like, what's the take on?
Everybody loves it because it's his final gift, to the fans. He canonized Super Saiyan 4, and if those fans who really love Dragon Ball GT, because that's one series that gets scolded a lot, because he didn't work on it essentially. He just only worked on the transformation back then. So those fans are like, heck yeah, like this is my stuff right here that I grew up with. I love GT, and he just made them feel very seen with that transformation. As a viewer for me, it just goes to show like this man, he just knew how to grab the audience, with each transformation. I mean, even with Vegeta, he achieved Super Saiyan 3, which doesn't even appear in Super, doesn't appear on Z, or anywhere else. And he's here canonized as well. But Goku's transformation to Super Saiyan 4 just solidified that the one great thing, which it is the greatest thing about GT, is that form. It's canonized now. Like everybody accepted it. Nobody ragged on it or anything like that. The dark hair from the original didn't show up here. He showed up with red hair, and that wasn't even like knocked on either. So we fully accepted it as a fan base because this man really cooked here, man. He really did a great job making this thing. Who again, whenever this first was announced, everybody hated it. Like, why are they kids and all this? Everybody just needed to wait and see. Unfortunately, he didn't get to see all the praise, but I mean, he left another groundbreaking moment, for us anime fans. That's for sure.
Yeah, it does sound pretty awesome. How like even he had this like amazing career, but it's still going, right? Even like after his passing.
Yeah.
It's like really cool.
Hmm.
Is there something like you could compare this to, like this moment to like I don't know, like something in a game or like a movie franchise or like something else that's like had that same kind of impact? Like what would you like
I
compare
don't
it
think
to?
there's anything you compare it to because Goku is one of those characters that he just shows you like if you do it for your friends and family and whatnot, they make you stronger. You know, Goku gets a lot of like flack for not being a family man because you know he likes to train and you know not be around his kids, but you know he shows that strength for the universe. Like he loves Earth, right? He's the Earth protector. You know, he was sent there as a kid to destroy that planet, but you know he hit his head and it changed him and all that. So I can't compare it to anything because it's his own thing. It's so weird. He's just a uh, an icon in anime that I mean, it's crazy. In 2025, we're still talking about a transformation he just had. You know that again. It's not the first time it's you know been shown because again, Super Saiyan 4 was in Dragon Ball GT in '97. So it's because it's canonized now, it's such a big deal. Like it's real. You get me? So it's hard to compare it to something. I mean, maybe the closest thing, gosh, uh, man, to compare it to comics, maybe I guess Death of Superman that he comes back, maybe I don't know. But even then, you know that gets replicated so much, right? That if you did it the second time, it doesn't really make a big impact. But this is so Goku's second time going Super Saiyan 4 for the first time, and it's such a bigger story, you know, than like anything in anime in recent times.
Oh, okay, yeah, so it does really sound like a huge, major, like life-changing
Yeah,
event.
it is. I mean,
So
it's
that's
freaking
pretty
crazy.
cool.
Yeah, it's and the form looks so cool, and you know, again, I didn't see more of footage of him like you know fighting it in that form. I just saw him and a screen grab, and I'm like, wait, what's going on here now? Like, why is Crunchyroll down and all this? Like, and then I saw a picture of him. I'm like, wow, that looks so cool, you know. And I just saw a clip, kind of him powering up. I'm just like, wow, this is like the coolest thing ever. And yeah, so as a fan, it's pretty cool to see Goku still, you know, making it in the news. You know, other than, you know, because he's always getting like who's the most recognizable anime character of all time, or what's the number one anime? Like, no, this is going on right now. Like, I mean, the anime just ended on March 1st, but you know, this is going on right now. He's still in there, front and center.
So is there going to be another season or no show? Because you mentioned it's ended basically. So
It's
like, what's the future for the?
it's been rumored for a very long time that they call it season two of Dragon Ball Super because the manga is still going on currently, right? And one of the issues whenever the anime was ending and the manga was still going, it was the manga was kind of having a hard time to keep up because you had the show airing weekly and the manga was being rushed out monthly. So they've taken a break for a very long time now. Just fans are just waiting. So we've had like two movies come out, which was the Broly movie and the superhero movie to kind of fill in those gaps. But I know the president of Toei said recently that expect more Dragon Ball because we have more stories to tell. So I as a fan of Akira Toriyama, I don't know how I feel about that because it's kind of like I don't want it to kind of end up like Dragon Ball GT, which again, it's not a bad anime. It's just not Akira Toriyama storytelling. But I mean, the guy who's kind of helming it right now, currently, Toyotaro, he's okay. He's not bad or anything like that. I mean, he was chosen by Toriyama to kind of helm the reins if anything were to happen to him. So, but it's still kind of like I don't want another Dragon Ball GT type scenario. But again, I can't judge anything until I see it from my own eyes. Just kind of like because I didn't hate when this was announced first, the Daima series. I was kind of like, okay, well, let's see what it's about. But you know how people are on the internet; they just oh, why are they kids again? Let them tell their story first. Then we'll like decide. So hopefully, whatever comes our way, it's good.
Yeah, it's probably gonna break the internet again, whatever comes out next, because that's pretty crazy. It's kind of like if like something came out on Disney Plus or something, and like the whole thing just
Yeah,
broke.
it's kind of like if okay
I mean,
to compare. All right, everybody hated this at first, and then it's broken the internet, right? And like, there's a current Spider-Man show going on Disney Plus. If they were to do something crazy, like an episode drop, and something wild was to happen on that, everybody would rush that same day and crash the Disney servers. Where you couldn't even load it. Or again, we're dealing with a bunch of fans here because this has like a large fan base. They crash pirated sites as well, very popular sites too, man. So it's just not the Crunchyroll, servers. No, they're going to the pirated sites, and they're also crashing with so much traffic. So that's how much impact this one transformation had.
yeah, it sounds like a billion people were watching this
Yeah,
show. Like like a third, like a sixth of like the world's
yeah.
population
Well,
was just like,
well, and whenever the Terminator of Power went down, in Mexico, they shut down cities so they could all watch it. I know Japan was very mad because because pirated footage. It's not too popular. But I if we were to ever like see world peace, I think we all saw it kind of. If you were going on the internet and seeing these people in Mexico or South America, actually just have a big get together, shut down the whole city, and watch the anime. Not a fight in sight. It's just everybody enjoying Dragon Ball. That actually happened. It's insane. Uh, that's how much Goku's an icon in the world. I mean, like, same even like you're here in the U.S. It's not like anime is not all around, but like I saw this one meme where it said like only in Mexico you'd go to school and you see Goku dressed up as a mechanic on the mural, and then you start working on the car and the car falls on you, you end up in the hospital. What do you wake up to? See Goku and the mirror of Goku on the wall, just as a doctor. Like that's how big of an impact this character has, in the world. It's not just
yeah,
Japan.
yeah, that's really cool to hear because just like from the outside looking in, like hearing about all this, like I had no idea that this major story broke about like Dragon Ball,
Yeah,
and so that's really awesome. Um, so yeah, so I think people should check that out. I might start. I mean, you kind of convinced me a little bit to start at least checking out like some of the series.
yeah.
It sounds really cool. Um, maybe even the manga too, because I like reading the stuff. But
Book one. That's all you gotta
um,
do.
just start with book one.
Yeah.
All right, so that's our talk about Dragon Ball. It was a kind of big news, and Lewis is a super fan, so he's the best guy to talk about that on the show. And now we're going to move into the kind of main topic of this episode, and that is our discussion of Captain America: Brave New World. So we both saw it in theater.
Hmm.
I saw it Tuesday night at AMC because it was like $5. Cheap movie plug. And I think you saw it a couple days before I did,
Yes.
but it came out February 14th, and so it'll probably be in the theaters, I'd imagine, for several more weeks, and eventually we'll probably go on Disney Plus. But for these kind of movies, I do try to catch them in theater because I just like it's kind of a better experience.
Hmm.
Um, so going into it, like, what was your first like impression of like the movie, like before it even came out? Like, what were you feeling about it?
Well, I kind of was afraid because you always hear like, oh, Captain America going through new reshoots and all that. I wasn't, I wasn't looking, I wasn't giddy to go see it. I was kind of like, all right, when it comes out, I'll probably check it. I don't know, who knows? I was kind of like no at first. Then I just convinced myself to watch it in the end because I was probably gonna skip it honestly. But I do like Anthony Mackie. He's one of my favorite actors. He's in Twisted Metal as well. He was in 8 Mile. So I like him as an actor. So I think Hollywood needs to really look at him as a lead more because he's really awesome, I believe. But I was kind of like,
Yeah,
yeah, I'll check it out. I'll check it out.
yeah, I think Anthony Mackie should be in like that Chris Pratt type role where he does those kind of like action movies and things like that because he's really
Yeah, he's
good.
really good.
Like I just think he just needs like more breakout films.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you said, he should definitely be like in that like Hollywood spot, I feel.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Um,
he's great. He has that charisma to me.
right. Yeah, I think going into this, like I was kind of like I was like whatever, it'll be maybe a cool movie. I've been kind of like down on like the Marvel movies and MCU and
Don't
stuff. I
say.
don't think
You
it's
don't
been.
say.
I don't say. I think a lot of people have been. I don't think the quality has been there since like Endgame. It's like very hit or miss with stuff.
Bro, we just saw
And like,
Deadpool 3 last year.
well, yeah, but I mean the whole like
Guardians 3,
uh
Spider-Man,
I
come on.
think with like people were like this phase of the MCU, it's like I don't think people are as excited about it or whatever.
Okay,
It's not
so let's get into it. All right, so let me ask you, villain setup. What do you think? What do you think of who the main villain was in this?
in the Captain America movie.
Yes.
Um, well, for this movie, I forgot the guy's name. The smart dude.
Uh-huh.
The really what's his name?
Good.
The the brain guy who was like mastermind. Oh, there might be like spoil. By the way, we should mention like there's probably gonna be some spoilers on here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't seen the movie and you're interested in it, maybe this is just a warning.
Mm-hmm.
We might get into some stuff here and there, but if you don't care, you just keep listening, and we'll try to say when there's like potential like issues that might come up. I'm trying to think of the guys. It's the one that Harrison Ford's character kept in.
You talking about Ross?
Samuel Stearns. Samuel Stearns.
Okay. So, okay, I had no idea who this guy was, to be honest with
Me
you.
either.
Right?
Yeah.
And he was in the movie The Hulk, right?
Yeah, there was something I wanted to discuss with you. I think like me just going into this, like when I left the theater, I was like, there's definitely some movies and stuff that I did not see that I was missing stuff. So I don't remember the original Incredible Hulk movie
Yeah.
from like 2008.
Uh-huh.
I didn't see I don't know if it's like not Captain America Disney shows, but like the Falcon shows or
Yeah.
whatever they were called.
Yeah.
And I didn't see any of the recent MCU stuff with like Kang and whatever all those movies.
Which I think those aren't important because they really didn't affect anything in this. The only two things was maybe was the Bucky show, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and
yeah, I didn't. I know,
which
like,
which again like that show was basically trying to. All right, well, just spoilers. If you're, I don't know, not many people watch this show, I guess, but basically that whole show was, I'm not ready to be Captain America, right? Like he felt like he wasn't ready, so he gave the shield over to the United States government, right? And then they hired some people. They hired this guy. I'm not gonna say his name, but to be Captain America, right? Who's agent? Let's just say. So, that whole show was just for him to be like, okay, I messed up. There's a reason why Steve Rogers gave me the shield, so I need to be Captain America. So in the end of the show, people weren't really accepting of him, and basically it was just kind of like, and going to this movie, it was I kind of saw that. It's like, oh, but I already saw this in the show. Like, I accept him as Captain America. You get me? But there was just some doubters still, because he's not good enough. He's no Steve Rogers, as Ross tells him to his face,
you're talking about was it Sam Wilson, Anthony Mackie's
Yes,
character?
yeah, like you're not Steve Rogers,
Yeah.
you're just some guy basically, and you know how he doesn't take the serum as well, so he's human. He's very human, right? He's just a guy with a shield at this point. But so he has to prove that he's Captain America. And yeah, I don't know. This is where I kind of felt like, all right, like why are you kind of retreating this? Like like in the end of the show, he's like, I'm Captain America, Yeah, I'm a black man with a shield, but I'm Captain America. And I just kind of felt like, oh, why are we retreating this? Like you're him. You're the man with the shield. Like you have to be your own Captain America. So yeah, that was the point of the show. You really didn't miss much, Tim. So that's That's like when I saw the
That
show
was one thing.
as it was going, like when they were releasing it, rolling out, like yeah, I understood what's going on, but like watching this voice, kind of like why you were trying. So like for you watching this, how did you feel seeing Sam Wilson as Captain America?
Well, I thought I mean, I thought like it was known like after what was it,
Uh-huh.
Endgame, where Steve Rogers was like all super old and
Hmm.
stuff, and I thought it was going off of that, like okay, this is already the Captain America. Like I said, I didn't see this
Yeah,
show. I didn't see any of the other recent MCU movies or something that's like tied in. I also don't remember the Captain America movies because I feel like those were such a long time ago.
yeah,
So there was just like references they would make, or like even stuff with the storylines or like dialogue stuff. I'm like, you got to be like super clued into all these shows and movies, otherwise you're gonna miss stuff. And I'm like, I feel like I kind of am, and I was still a little bit confused about different references and stuff. But I just kind of assumed like everybody knew he was the new Captain America because of like Endgame.
no, no,
So I guess that's not the case,
no,
right?
that's not the
Everybody's like,
case. No, he wholeheartedly gave up the shield, and then he was like, "Oh, I messed up," and that's where to me, whenever he went to go see Isaiah, and because he was in the show as well, Isaiah Bradley, who's played by Carl Lumbly. I think that's how you pronounce it, Lumbly, I
and
believe.
Isaiah Bradley was like the original. He was like a
A super
kind
soldier,
of like
basically.
black site or super
Yeah,
soldier that was like abandoned. Yeah, like a unofficial Captain America
yeah,
type thing.
yeah, and he went to go see him and everything. So like, which seeing him here in the movie, I was really happy to see him. He was really good in the show on Disney Plus. But he was actually one of my favorite parts of this movie. Um, what did you think about his acting?
Yeah, he was good. I didn't know who he
Hmm.
was as far as like his on-screen character,
Hmm.
so like it was kind of new to me.
Yeah,
I thought he had like a kind of like father relationship to Sam Wilson's character, Anthony Mackie's character, Sam Wilson.
hmm,
Um, so I thought that was a cool aspect. A lot of these characters, they felt like new to me.
yeah. Like Joaquin,
Um, yeah, who was he?
he was basically the sidekick to Captain America who wants to take over the
Oh, like
Falcon.
the new Falcon. Yeah, I missed that whole storyline. I don't know like what was going on with that.
Yeah,
Um, that was like a reference I didn't get. He was a great actor. The guy playing him, Danny Ramirez,
yeah,
was a great actor with that. Like they had good chemistry on screen.
yeah.
And even like Harrison Ford's character, who the whole like marketing of the movie was like Harrison Ford is like Red Hulk, like that were they were teasing that,
Okay, well,
and he's playing a character Thaddeus Ross, which was like kind of like tied into like the Incredible Hulk,
hmm,
which is like kind of like a which is again going back to those old pre MCU movies that I don't remember. But so Harrison Ford, like this character has been in the Marvel movies before, but the actor had passed away
yeah.
a few years ago, so he took that over. Um, so he was like a really great. I thought he did a really great job as that character. But there was like a lot of characters. If you didn't see the other movies, you might be a little bit out of the loop.
And I can see why people
Um,
get confused with this character because I mean he's being played by a new guy, right?
yeah, and the other actor was William Hurt,
Hmm.
who going back to 2008 to as recently as a few years ago was in several Marvel
Hmm.
movies. I don't think that's a big deal, but it's just like there's like pre-built-in stuff. Like if you haven't seen all these movies, and by the way, this is like the 35th MCU movie, so I don't know. I mean, that's a
And this guy
lot of
was
movies,
teasing.
man.
This guy was teased like to take down the Hulk in the second movie, right? In that post-credit scene with
If you say
well,
so.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, he was with Iron Man whenever they teased that whole thing.
yeah. I don't. Do they consider that those movies as part of the MCU?
Yeah,
The original Hulk stuff.
absolutely. Yeah,
Those are okay.
yeah. The one
I
with
didn't. Yeah,
what's his face? That actor who completely like he missed a shot to be. Well, I mean, he's kind of saved himself now, but what was his name? Edward Norton, right?
Edward
Yeah,
Norton, yeah.
yeah, like he was in that, and in the post-credit scene, Ross and Iron Man meet at that bar, and basically tease the Avengers. Basically, I think maybe the original first Avengers villain was supposed to be Hulk, like have all these heroes kind of take down the Hulk kind of thing. I think so, or something like that. So, but yeah, Edward Norton, he was the original. But again, like,
I got
yeah,
confused because like there's a Hulk movie before
oh, the
that. It was
Eric
called The
Bana,
Hulk.
whatever his name is.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not MCU.
yeah,
So I'm looking on Wikipedia now. The Incredible Hulk film with Edward Norton was the second movie
yeah.
in the
hmm
MCU. So yeah, my bad. But yeah, it's like where it gets confusing because there's so many
So yeah, and
movies.
then you got people getting. That's what I'm saying. Like I can see how people may look at this guy and be like, "Oh, this is Harrison Ford, so this is a new guy." Like no, like this character has been around since the second movie.
Right, yeah. And then basically he's now the president of the United States. And this was like a part that I got confused at where I definitely either missed a movie or a show or something where he is trying to get a treaty signed with all the nations of the world, like Japan and others, for an adamantium like island or
hmm
rock that fell in the ocean or something. I was like, I
Do,
definitely missed a
do you
movie
know?
because I don't
Okay,
know
do you
what.
know what movie you missed? I'll tell you what it is. What do you think it is? It's not a Disney show or nothing. It's a MCU movie.
Probably the Kang one,
Nope, it was
right?
the Eternals.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did not
Yeah,
watch
nobody
that.
watched that either. So,
Um, so yeah, they didn't really do a good job of like filling people in. I'm like, yeah, I feel like something's missing here.
okay.
Um,
Can I go back to the adamantium thing? Okay, so this thing has been like literally in the ocean, just poking out, right? And Eternals, when did it come out? Eternals came out like in, I believe, 2021. So for 4 years in MCU time, you had this thing sticking out, and they just barely addressed it with this 2025 film.
and I didn't really understand the importance of it. Like, why is this so important? Like in this Captain America movie, they
Yeah,
didn't really make a make it seem like why is this a big deal? Like I didn't. I just thought it was like some new incredible like resource that you just had to have it for like power and
yeah,
stuff. But as far as like what it could do, like I mean, it didn't, the movie itself didn't
yeah. It didn't go
do a great
into,
job with
yeah.
it.
It didn't explain it well. I mean, we all know what
But I
that
don't.
is, right? Like we know what the adamantium
Yeah,
is.
I don't think it like ruined the movie. But there was like just like stuff like plot things like that where if you really weren't clued into like all the Marvel movies and shows, you were gonna miss some stuff,
hmm
especially like the interpersonal relationships between certain characters.
Yes.
So that was for me like as somebody kind of like recent MCU stuff I haven't really kept up with. It's very spotty. But overall, as a movie, I thought like he was a great Captain America. Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson. I thought the story of his relationship with Harrison Ford's character, where it's very like kind of there's like conflict there, and it's not it's they clash with each other a lot, but then kind of have to work together to.
Yeah.
Basically, in the movie, there's a threat that's being orchestrated behind the scenes. It's kind of like almost like a thriller type storyline
Yeah.
where it looks like maybe Harrison Ford's character is pulling the strings on it, but he's being like manipulated by that brain character we were talking about
Yeah.
earlier, who is I already forgot the name of him. But he and even that character goes back, I guess, to I don't know the original was it the original Hulk movie?
hmm
Samuel Sturms. So basically, he was some sort of scientist or something like that, and he was infected with the Hulk's blood, and basically he looks like a total freak. Like his brain is like on the outside of his head.
Okay. So, what do you think about his look?
He looked very weird. Like it was kind of like iffy for me, but I didn't know the character, so like I don't have any reference point. But essentially, in the storyline, he was kept in like a top secret facility as Harrison Ford's character kind of basically used him for his like intelligence to like think of like the future plans and all the possibilities. And this Samuel Stearns basically created all these weapons and anything that um, Harrison Ford character wanted to be done. and then he would promise that he would like basically restore his life. And there was another thing too, where from the movie, like he got blamed for like the Hulk or something.
Yeah.
They blamed Samuel Stearns for like the Hulk. Like going, and there was like I was like, yeah, I don't remember that movie, so like I don't know what happened like there.
It was so
But
long
he was
ago.
promised like a pardon from Harrison Ford character who is now the president, and then like never came.
Hmm.
So that's where he started going rogue essentially, and like planning these like this whole conspiracy against the president and stuff to kind of get like the world at war and to like ruin his reputation.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. What did you think about that angle?
I thought it was boring. Like,
That aspect,
yeah, it was
yeah.
very boring. Again, I'm not saying the movie was bad or nothing like that, because I thought I like Harrison Ford's acting, right? I think he's definitely one of the greatest of all time to me. Um, but from this angle, like this whole thing, yeah, I thought it was boring. I thought there would have been more action, right? Because again, the Red Hulk is in this movie, and to me, it kind of fell flat on the action part, for Captain Film 2.
Yeah, basically like in the last 15 minutes the Red Hulk finally shows up.
Yeah. Which
um
if they would have like
it's like a 2.5 hour movie
yeah.
too. It's a very long movie.
Yeah, and it would okay, and if they would have like and it's kind of hard to keep it under secret because these people got to sell toys too, and it's a prominent figure, Hulk Red basically, right? So like if they would have kept that secret somehow, I think it would have made it worth it. But they started slapping on the trailers and all that, and it's just kind of like, all right, what am I waiting for exactly, right? What's the surprise here? They got to have something, right?
Even the some of the marketing, like one of the posters for the movie has like Anthony Mackie is Sam Wilson. He's holding like the Captain America shield, and like Red Hulk's like fist is like punching him, and he's trying to like hold it
Yeah,
back. So like it was in the marketing, like okay, the Red Hulk's gonna appear in the
yeah.
movie. Like it's gonna be like a big
Mm-hmm.
confrontation.
So it's yeah. To me, it was just kind of like they had to have something up their sleeve, and they showed the whole card, their whole deck, and it's like, okay, so this is okay. Well, I know we're going into spoiler territory. Well, how do you feel about a human Captain America, no serum, going against the Hulk? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I just assumed like he had some like powers or special training or something. Like it didn't really.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Like he's just because he's not like a regular human because he's getting like punched and like stabbed and
No,
has
he's
to
a
kill like
regular
a
human
normal
because he
person.
goes on record saying, I'm not gonna, I didn't take the serum. And remember him and Bucky have that dialogue, like, man, he's like, man, I should have taken it, like
Okay,
jokingly.
so that's like if I just became Captain America,
Yeah, basically,
like
yeah. You
yeah.
know, I mean, the only thing, this goes back to Steve Rogers giving him the shield, right? Because he said, like, basically saying, like, hey, I think you should be the next Captain America because you don't give up and all that. You show the fight, you show you like you keep fighting with the human spirit, all that, yeah. But you're fighting a Hulk here, like this is basically telling me Sam Wilson could have fought the Hulk in Civil War, no problem. You get me? Even though Hulk wasn't in that, but if the Hulk was there, Sam would have been the man to take him down. Because I mean, he fought the Red Hulk here.
Yeah, and I do know the Red Hulk's supposed to be like what more dangerous or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, they don't really explain that much either. Like, what's the difference between the Hulks?
It's just like he's just a
Just like
different shade. I
he's
mean,
red. Yeah, but yeah. Overall, I thought the movie was like I wouldn't say it was like amazing, but it was like a solid like B plus for
yeah,
me. Like it was really enjoyable. Um, there was like good action here and there, but yeah, I did feel that a bit. Like there wasn't enough action. It was more like that espionage type
yeah.
thing.
Which the second movie did do better. Like Captain America 2, they did it better, I thought. But I believe the Russo brothers first directed that, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, the espionage aspect, I think the second movie still did it the best. I, I didn't like it here in this movie.
I did. I like that aspect. It was cool, but I was kind of expecting more bigger fight scenes, maybe to really show like Sam Wilson as his own
Yeah.
thing, which they kind of did here and there. But it wasn't like these epic fights or whatever. And when he did fight the Hulk, he got whooped for most of the fight.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you
And then
this now.
he kind of fluked into beating him. So
Oh, then he had a chat with him too to calm him down. So, but okay. So now that you see this Captain America and Sam Wilson, all right. Obviously, we all know who's going to be playing Doctor Doom, right? Um, and what's his name? Oh my God, the guy's Samuel Stearns. Did you see the post credit scene, by the way?
yeah, so there's a post credit scene where and spoilers, but Sam Wilson goes and meets this Tim and Jay in the jails, the high security jail, and they what was it? What were they teasing exactly? Like
Well, that there's
there's like
multiple
more
universes,
coming.
right?
Yeah, there's more. So I thought maybe I had missed something because I
No.
had not seen some of the recent
Well, actually,
movies,
you
but
have missed a lot because you didn't see Loki, right? And you didn't see the King movies and all that stuff. So, okay, now we know that the next villain, the next big bad villain for the Avengers film is Doctor Doom, right? Played by Robert Downey Jr. Obviously, it's a variant, right, from a different universe. It's so obvious. So, um, Fantastic Four is coming out this year, right? Starring Pedro Pascal, right? And based on trailers and all that stuff, they pretty much kind of like figured that this man's gonna figure out that there's different universes that you can cross, right? Because the big bad guy, one of the big bad guys at least, is Galactus. So I'm pretty sure. This is me just guessing now. Tim, I have no knowledge from Marvel, so if Marvel finds out that maybe I found out what they're doing. I mean, I don't know anybody that works for Marvel, but maybe Galactus eats up that planet and Fantastic Four go through a universe, and that opens up Doom to come and cross as well, since one of the main villains against Fantastic Four is Doctor Doom, and that's how um, Doctor Doom gets across to 616 according to Kevin Feige, right? Which I don't know. Have I asked you about that? Like, how do you feel about that? They call that 616, the MCU.
yeah, it's different from the comics. I think it's its own basically world,
Yeah,
right?
because
I mean the Marvel comics has like a million different
yeah,
universes.
yeah. So,
So
but yeah, maybe that's the tease and all that. That's like that's what I think that whole thing was at the end, because Fantastic Four's coming out
yeah,
this summer.
as far as like a post credit scene, it was kind of weak.
Very weak. If you don't know what the heck's
It
going on,
wasn't.
right? But if you know what's going on,
Yeah,
you're like, that's it. That's all you got to show. Oh, okay.
yeah. Like, I feel like the previous movies had always had like more post credit scenes with like a bigger punch.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I kind of figured that
yeah,
anyway. Like, there's multiple universe. Like, I already know that. So, but they try to make it like it was this huge thing or
yeah.
whatever. But I know like I think it was a good starting movie for like Sam Wilson as like a leading Captain America like film franchise.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think it was. Again, it was not like a greatest of all time movie. It was like a solid B plus. I mean, kind of like some of the issues we had talked about. But overall, I really came out like really liking the movie. I thought it was really great. I really like Anthony Mackie as Captain America. I just think in the next movie they really need to like own that and like really make him that. Because this was still kind of like in between. Like he was Captain America, but it's not like didn't really feel like finalized.
Yeah,
That
which
makes
which
sense.
again is one of my issues with, like, okay, I watch this show, right? And then I'm seeing this and it's just like, really? You know?
Yeah, but I guess for him in like finally like a leading role, I didn't really have interest in him previously. Like I guess it was him playing Falcon or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
in like the other movies because he was really just like a side character. Um, but I like him in this like main role as Captain America. I think it's really cool. But yeah, I would think I kind of left too, like, thinking like, well, they have the Red Hulk. Can we just get like an Incredible Hulk movie now,
Yeah.
like a real one?
Yeah. Well, I think something about Universal, I don't know if they fully, okay, so like I think they cannot make a Hulk movie. They can do a Hulk Disney Plus show, but Hulk movie, no, they own the movie rights, I believe. So they,
For like eternity or
I
like
don't
what's
know.
going
It's
on? It's been
see, like
forever.
I don't know the situation there because I know with Spider-Man, if they don't make enough, like they have to release a film like every so often to keep the rights, and if they like skip, like the rights revert back to Marvel. So whenever they sign off, the whole character for movie rights, I don't know I myself don't know the contract situation. It could be different. I know they sold off these characters' movies rights whenever they were like literally in the on the ground,
Bankruptcy,
bankruptcy, all that
yeah.
stuff. So who knows what they signed off? I mean, remember they signed off X-Men before, and now they just barely got them back a few years ago. So I mean, that's why we're seeing X-Men stuff now. But yeah, so who knows about the Hulk situation? But they can get away with doing a Disney Plus show for sure. They can do that because it's streaming. Streaming is a different pipeline of media now. So but when it comes to films, they cannot apparently because Universal owns it.
Yeah, so at least like as far as um like Captain America, like he's gonna be in the next Avengers movie with Robert Downey Jr. and I think the couple movies after that, like the team movies.
Yeah,
But he's Anthony Mackie's already said like he wants to do more solo Captain America movies. But I don't think they have anything planned right now. It's mostly going towards this year with Fantastic Four, which comes out in the summer. There's also a Thunderbolts movie um, around the summertime, and the next year would be the big movie with Avengers.
so do
So,
you do you envision this Captain America in Battle World?
what is Battle? What is that?
Battle World, bro. I thought you read comics. Come on, Tim. Secret
No,
Wars,
I didn't.
come
What?
on.
Oh, Secret
Oh
Wars.
my
Yeah, say
God,
Secret Wars. I don't
Tim. You
know.
just
I don't know what that. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, I think
yeah.
so. I like him. Like they should just go forward with it. Like really push it because like it kind of felt like he was still kind of like in between. Like really not the face of
Yeah.
it. So hopefully this movie like establishes him, and not only him, just like the actor Anthony
Yeah.
Mackie as like a leading MCU person. Because now he like finally has his own movie.
Hmm.
But yeah, I could definitely see this Cap like as a leading like the Captain
Yeah.
America. I think in the MCU, I don't know what you do with. I mean, they kind of like treaded that already.
What Tim's
So,
saying is he's tired of the same old stories from like 40 years ago. He's ready for new stories.
yeah, they should do new stuff. But then they also have this multiverse stuff, so they might just they would probably always bring characters back or something
Yeah.
like as a loophole. I think this movie's done okay at like box office wise. I don't think it's been as big as previous Marvel movies, but again, there's diminishing returns because I think the past several years, like outside of like Deadpool and stuff,
And
like they're
Guardians,
very
which
hit
Tim
and miss.
won't admit.
Yeah, I need to watch the Guardians 3. But yeah, I mean, just like some of the movies are hit and miss, some of the shows are hit and miss. So there's like diminishing returns on a lot of this. But I think what they're shaping up to for this year, like Fantastic Four, should be really cool. And then definitely next year with Doctor Doom, that should be really great. So there's like stuff like they're coming back with it. I feel like they're on the way back up. I think.
Yeah, let's see if it doesn't let's see if it ends well for them. Because
Hmm.
I can't like
But
the build up to the first Avengers was it was kind of like, all right, let's see what what this kind of entails. Like, could this be more than what we think it could be? And it ended up being great. And then they teased Thanos at the end, and then Age of Ultron happened, which was, I don't know. Looking back on it, I guess you can kind of say like the build up to that second Avengers movie wasn't as good as well, but it wasn't.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
hindsight.
it's kind of like, yeah, I can appreciate the second Avengers Age of Ultron, right? I mean, it wasn't a bad movie, but like the build up was kind of like, oh man, this is not as great as the first, I guess. And then Infinity War and all that stuff, which was kind of like, oh wow, things are happening, and that's what it's missing currently to me. Because I'm watching all these films again. Guardians 3 was amazing because it told the story of a certain character. Because I'm not going to spoil it here for Tim. It told the story of a certain character, and it made you care not only about that character more, but everybody around them. And and Spider-Man, it was a great film, but it was kind of like too much fan service in a way, So it was kind of like, yeah, things were happening, but it was just like, oh, it felt like moments. It wasn't like, what is it? What is this building up to? What is this building up to? Which is, there's none of that in this phase, I believe.
Yeah, they've been kind of, I would say, a little bit lost.
Yeah,
with some
they
of the
really
direction of
pigeonholed
that.
themselves, I think.
There's no like bigger picture.
Yeah, like
It feels like.
to me, if you guys were gonna do Doctor Doom, because Tim's, I think you've said like to me like it's kind of like a cop out in the way because they're like going back, to get somebody out of retirement basically and do this movie, because he hasn't appeared in any of
Yeah, it's
them,
like
you know.
yeah, it's like they could have I don't know, like whatever. And we'll see what happens. But I mean, I know there was like other actors they probably could have went with,
Yeah,
but they went with him specifically,
yeah.
right?
Which like again, like it's a variant. It's not the official Doctor Doom. Like it's so weird. We're gonna see this guy, and there's another version of him that hasn't. It's kind of like Wolverine, right? Like we still haven't seen the official MCU 616 Wolverine, and it's not gonna be Hugh Jackman. It's somebody else apparently, but he's the current MCU Wolverine. It's so strange, It's just weird how they're going about this.
Yeah, but I think like this movie is not gonna like the Captain America like Brave New World's not gonna set the world on fire. I think it's a pretty solid movie. Um, and I thought it was a pretty good jumping point for Anthony Mackie as like a leading guy. But I think going forward, like the Fantastic Four is probably going to do way bigger stuff. I think that's like maybe more interest in this. That was another thing. There really didn't seem to be like a lot of interest in this movie, Captain America, like this particular one.
Yeah,
There wasn't like this huge buzz around it. It was kind of like, oh, there's another Marvel movie out.
yeah.
There wasn't this huge like fanfare or like cultural thing around it. It just kind of came out. But I think with Fantastic Four, there's going to be more of that like buzz surrounding it.
Oh yeah, because Pedro Pascal's involved. I mean, he's carrying the
Yeah.
movie. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and I think it's just like the fact that there's a new Fantastic Four movie is a big deal.
Under Disney, because the
Um,
Fox ones were pretty
yeah,
bad.
it's like a fresh thing.
Yeah.
So, but do you have any final thoughts about the Captain America: Brave New World now that you've kind of sat with it a bit, or?
Yeah, I think he's, like you said, it's a good start for him with this first film for him as Captain America. Hopefully the second one's better. I hope they have a much better villain. Not too many.
Yeah, the villain side too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
More action sequences. I'm not saying it has to be all action, but I just feel like like the espionage stuff is cool and all that, but we gotta have some action as well. I mean, it's Captain America. I mean, but Captain America back then, he would punch anybody, especially Nazis. We have to hit them. So we need to have Captain, definitely in some more battles and more fights. Anthony Mackie, he's awesome. I can't wait to see him in Twisted Metal as well. He's also in that, and hopefully the next Marvel movie makes stuff happen. I like this post credit scene was very very poor. And as Tim, he hasn't watched anything recently when it comes to Marvel. He felt kind of lost watching that post credit scene. So hopefully they do better on that stuff too. Even with the next Captain America movie, maybe they set up a different villain for him to face later on, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an Avengers movie. Post credit scene, it could be a Captain America 3 post credit scene. You know, like where we're going to get later on. So hopefully they do better stuff on that. I think.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think the villain was just okay. I think it was all right. I did like the storyline that he was going after Harrison Ford's character
Mm-hmm.
and how Captain America was thrown into that. But yeah, it was definitely one of the weaker like bad guys of the MCU. And then there was very like insider baseball stuff. Like you really needed to follow like the Marvel movies and shows
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of these characters because there was like so many new people, and they're relying on your memory from movies that came out
Yeah.
like what 15 years ago or something. And
Yeah.
even like the Hulk was like 2008.
Yeah.
Um so
Like,
but overall it was I thought it was a good movie.
mm-hmm.
Worth checking out. If you're not going to see it in theaters, definitely check it out on Disney Plus if you have a subscription there. Um some cool stuff, some kind of whatever, but at least kind of a little bit going in the right direction, I feel like, with Marvel a bit. But it definitely wasn't like a super movie, but it was definitely, I think, still worth the time to watch. So it's kind of like in that in between. But yeah, I guess the next movie to look out for is kind of a combination of Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four because they kind of come out around the same time a little bit. So later this year. And but yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for our review of Captain America: Brave New World, and also for this episode of the podcast. I just want to remind everyone how they can listen to the show and subscribe. We are on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube, so make sure you subscribe on your favorite platform and leave us a review on there. That helps a lot. If you have any feedback on this episode, you can send us an email at feedback@quarterdisorderpodcast.com or leave a comment in the show notes on the website at quarterdisorderpodcast.com. That will be on the homepage. You can go in there and see the show notes for this episode and the outline. And there as well, you can also find all the site's social media accounts. Make sure to follow us on there, and you'll get notified when new shows get posted. And thanks again for listening to the show, and we will catch you next time.